You know, there's nothing like being in the green room, although there's no green. Like, there's no green. There's no green for Rhonda. There's no green for me. It's like, what's going on, Shay, with the green? Don't worry about it. You're in the green room. Now, Rhonda, folks always ask me, how come I don't read the bio? And it's because your bio is so extensive, it would take the whole freaking show. So here's what I like to do if I can. Can you just take a moment and tell the audience who is Rhonda Britten? And more importantly, what are you up to these days?
Ooh, so who is Rhonda Britten? I am a woman who is on a mission to help people live the life their soul intended. So whether that's live the life their soul intended through their business, live their life their soul intended through their relationships, live their life their soul intended in whatever area they want. Because if you're an entrepreneur or want to be one, you know that is a calling. It's not just a job, right? It's not just for money. It will not motivate you enough. So that is who I am. I'm a woman devoted to helping people get fearless. And then what am I up to? I am so excited because I am actually creating, and it's just about to go live, a membership site and a new podcast called Fearless You. So you're going to be seeing that in the next 30 to 45 days.
Oh, wow, and that's cool.
It's called Fearless You, and my cat has decided to interrupt, because my cat always has to be like literally the tail is going like in front of the camera. So yeah, so Fearless You, Y-O-U, Fearless You, because to help people become fearless. And fearless doesn't mean you don't have fear. Hello. It does definitely means you have fear, because we all do as part of our neurobiology. But you're going to know what to do with it when it happens to you.
You know, Rhonda, that's super amazing. That's super incredible. And if I can, just for a moment, we had a person on here that called in recently, and you talk about fearless living. I know you'll get into what it means and all that fancy stuff when we go live, but this is a green room, so I can be honest with you. And she said, hey, Shay, look, I've got a lot going on right now. I'm now working from home, and someone might be able to relate to this. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm also now a school teacher. Oh, by the way, I'm a full-time administrator because she's got 2 kids in elementary and 1 in junior high. So now she got to make sure they get their freaking homework in. And at the same time, she's a cafeteria worker. And she's also running her business as a coach and trying to remain positive. And she was like, Shay, how do you deal with all this overwhelm? Because she wants to keep going. And I don't want to say it's just a woman thing. I don't want nobody to send me a note, because it could be a man out there going through that right now. Could be a teenager going through it. So my question to you, Rhonda, is what do you say to this person out there right now? It's like, but everything's shifting. There's so much overwhelm. How do you keep going?
Well, you know, the most important thing during this time is to get centered, right? To center in your values and who you are. So she sounds like she is clear on what's important to her. She's clear on it's her kids. She's clear that it's her family. She's clear that it's her education. And yeah, she still wants to turn herself on and give her life, you know, give compassion and give purpose and do her own work. So the number one thing right now that we all need is gentleness. And yeah, for some people, that's a swear word. It's like gentleness. I'm no wimp. I'm not lazy. What are you talking about? But actually, gentleness is actually going to get you. My cat definitely wants to be in on this conversation. I mean, just will not, like literally is like, hey, I need to be interviewed. I have some things to say. But really what we all need right now is a bunch of gentleness and to see our own innocence, because right now these are extraordinary times. And what makes them extraordinary, besides let's put the global pandemic aside and illness and death and all that things, but what this is an opportunity for all of us. I think this is just like a big global breath to say, is this how I want to live my life? Are these the things that matter to me? What do I want my life to look like? Because all of us are being shifted, called forth to do something more or different, et cetera. So I think it's just a real strong connection to what you really value, a real strong connection to what really matters. And if you have your values and priorities in order, that overwhelm, and again, don't get me wrong, there's lots going on. I have a lot of clients and a lot of family members that are in her situation, so I know how crazy it is. So what I'm about to say may be like, are you kidding, Rhonda? I can't do that. But what it really is to remind yourself each and every day what your number one value is, and are you living it? And it helps to get you centered and grounded. So regardless of whether you're the cafeteria worker, whether you're the school teacher, the administrator, the wife, the mother, the coach, you're going to know that if you are centered and if you are living that value wherever you are, then it's going to be okay and you're okay, right? Overwhelm has to do with perfectionism, expectations, thinking that you should do more than you are. But if we go to gentleness and go to center and go into our values and really anchor them solidly, then we can say yes and no to things. And, okay, I'm going to slow down. I don't have to be perfect for my kids as a teacher. I don't have to be perfect for my cafeteria, right? Like, I just gotta, like, hey kids, come and help me make peanut butter sandwiches. Like, you don't have to do everything, right? Get the whole family involved. So yeah, I just want to say gentleness, 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 gentleness. It's going to get you through and get you faster, actually give you more success faster. And that's what people don't understand about gentleness. Gentleness, you'll move faster forward, be more motivated and inspired, and without giving yourself the overwhelm.
Take us behind the scenes, if you would, to the type of conversation you're having with your peers right now. There's a number of folks that, 6 months ago, it was like, what's going on? And now 6 months into this, people did some things or they didn't do some things, right? They were going to write the book or they didn't write the book. They were going to start their business or they didn't start their business. Tell me the type of conversation, if you don't mind, don't give us any names, you're having with your peers right now. And as you prepare, I would say, for the next new normal, right? The last 6 months was like, what's up? What's going on? Now it's like, okay, how do you guys keep each other motivated? What are y'all saying to each other to get ready for the next 6 months?
Well, I actually think, again, besides the global pandemic and the death and dying and the illness and the cities and all the shutdown, if we can put all that aside for just a minute, what it's given us, like I said a minute ago, is that big inhale, that big exhale, that big moment. And what me and my friends are talking about, and I just got together with a couple of them, socially distancing, of course, actually went out to my first restaurant for the first time, which was a big deal. What we're really talking about is this is the time that people need change. Like, they're craving change. They're craving to live more true to themselves. They're craving a deeper knowledge. I can't tell you how many people are going back to graduate school, or they're wanting to become a life coach with me, right? Like signing up for the life coach certification program. So people are wanting more with their lives. They're being called forth, like they've been running around like chickens with their head cut off. And they're like, I don't want to live like that anymore. So they want depth right now. And that's what me and my peers are talking about. All my friends were like, oh my gosh, this is like, now more than ever, people need fearless living. Now more than ever, I have to get, everything that I need and to do in order to serve more people. Like, I got to get myself going. I mean, during the pandemic, I'm a hard worker, but I don't know if I've ever worked so hard. Like I need to help more people during this time because they need me more than ever. And that's true with pretty much everybody I know. Now, there's a definite line, and these I wouldn't say are my peers, but I do know that there's two types of entrepreneurs right now. One is that they're really seeing the opportunity here, and they're seeing how they can help people more than ever, and they're doubling down, they're tripling down. But there's the other entrepreneur, and I just saw this in a Facebook group. One woman's like, I have a hairstyling business and my business is under and I can't. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. I have a friend who helps hairstylists, and this woman helps hairstylists. It's like, you wait a minute, your membership collapsed. My friend's membership is thriving and he didn't lose one member. And they're hairstylists, right? I have another friend who is working with dance studio owners. The dance studios are all closed. He hasn't lost a member, right? He hasn't lost a client. In actuality, he's gotten more clients. So there's a group of us that are just doubling down and tripling down and knowing that this is the time to really dig our roots in our businesses so that we can expand and grow and scale as we move through this.
Wow. As we move through this now, in a moment, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, what is Fearless Living? What is it all about? We're going to get started. We're in the green room now, but I've got to answer this one question. We got to get going. I don't think we've been in the green room this long for a while, but they're wondering, before we get started, what can they expect from this conversation around fearless living? Like, why is this important for the entrepreneur, for the dualpreneur, or for the mom or dad or person that's trying to move up in their life? They're like, well, I'm still here. I didn't commit suicide, and I know that's very serious. I don't want to make fun of that. I know that's a very serious thing, but why should someone tune in and listen to the conversation we're about to have?
Because fear is the number one thing that is having you beat yourself up, blaming yourself, shaming yourself, the number one thing that causes procrastination, the number one thing that does cause overwhelm, the number one thing that causes self-pity. It is the number one thing. So we can call it lots of different names, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But if you do not understand how fear really works, and not just a cliche like false evidence appearing real, that's nice, but that's a cliche. That doesn't necessarily help you when you're in the trenches. I actually want to talk about how fear actually works in our everyday life so that you can see it, so it doesn't own you, and that you can make choices. So I think if you do not understand how you work in fear and how fear shows up for you, you're flying blind.
You're flying blind. We come back, ladies and gentlemen, because I got a show to get going. I wish I could hang out with you all day, but I've got a show. We got to get going in a few minutes. We come back. I'm going to ask her, give us a definition of fearless living, and then break down 1, 2, or 3 things that you can do to live this fearless life. And you don't want to miss it. And I can't wait to get her secret formula. I can't wait. In a moment, we're going to get going in 5. It's the only thing I get to do, by the way. 4 is my favorite part. 3, 2, 1. Let's kick it off. We got to get out. Promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there. And they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win.
Well, it's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you the entrepreneur, with all those resources that are necessary to execute the vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And I believe you have 3 visions that I love to share, by the way, 3 visions. I believe first you have a vision for yourself. You know, the clothes you want to wear, the car you want to drive, the organic food. I know you like the organic food. Can't wait to have that, right? And it takes resources, which means it takes revenue. I know that's a problem in business. And I believe you have a second vision, by the way. You have a vision for the people you love the most. Mother dear is still with me. She's 73 years old, just celebrated her birthday, got to hang out again with her today. And there's nothing like before when I couldn't do that. She's only 15 minutes away when she got accustomed to using a credit card. What she could do before, but you can do a lot more shopping with someone else's credit card. Trust me, it takes resources. But some of you want to write a check for someone's health care insurance right now. You want to pay someone's mortgage. You want to send your kids to a school of your choice, or write a check for what you believe in. It takes resources, which means it takes revenue. And then there's a third vision I believe you have, and this is most important. I always like to share this. You have a vision for the people you were called to serve. And I want you to imagine for just a moment that you were Noah in the Bible. Now, you don't have to be a believer to follow along with this, but imagine you're Noah in the Bible, and you're about to go do your thing. You got all the resources. You got all the expertise from God. You're ready to go. And before you get going, there's a knock at the door. And you're like, what's going on over here? Yeah, what's up? Noah, there's no hammers in the house. No worries, no hammers. We're not going to panic. We're good to go. What's happening? Right over here, Noah. Me. Yeah, what's up? I might as well confess there's no nails either. Oh, no hammer, no nails. Rule number 1, don't panic, right? What could it possibly be now? Noah, there's no people and there's no wood. Good luck on this mission. And maybe that's you right now. You need to get going. You need to leave that 9 to 5. You need to start your business. You need to bust through on fear. And we got the one and only Rhonda Britten, who's here today. What's up, Rhonda Britten? How are ya?
I am so excited to be here. You are the bestest, westest man. I love being here. Thank you so much. I love your vision. I love the 3 visions. I'm totally with you. And if people don't have the wood, if they don't have the nails, if they don't have the people, right? If they don't have the resources, they don't have the support they need, it's a long, hard road ahead.
It is a long, hard road. And can I just address the elephant in the room? I mean, I know, you say I can ask any question I want. And I was thinking before we got going, I was like, fearless living. Like, and where we are in the world today, why is that still relevant? First, okay, you can handle this. What does it mean, okay? And number 2, how does someone apply that today that's already an entrepreneur? They're already taking care of their family. They're already doing their thing in their profession. Like, how does that apply to us? I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I got to address that.
No, not at all. I mean, without fearless living, I would not be moving through this pandemic the way I am. That is for gosh darn sure. I would be overwhelmed. I'd feel anxious. I'd be worried. I may have some guilt. I may be, kind of people pleasing. I might be worried about everybody else and try to oh, no, I don't need anything, right? Like I might put my life last, right? So if I personally was not doing fearless living, and I think about me before fearless living, I would not be handling this well at all. I'd feel very anxious. I'd feel very overwhelmed, and I would feel probably a little hopeless in reality. I'd probably move from hopeless to excited, to hopeless to excited. I'd go through that back and forth that most people do, right? It's like, oh, no, I can do it. No, I can't. No, I can't. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Right. So you're going that back and forth. So without fearless living, without the grounding it gives me, without the understanding of how fear works, without the understanding of how fear works for me, which is unique and personal, because we all have what I call the wheel of fear, and ours is unique and personal. If I didn't know my wheel, and if I didn't know the antidote called the wheel of freedom, I probably wouldn't be a pretty picture right now. And so I think that fearless living really is, it's not about jumping out of a plane. It's about jumping into life. It's about knowing who you are. It's about staying centered. And oh, by the way, fear is around us every single minute of every single day. And so if you are not awake to how fear shows up in your life, then it's going to own you, because fear is a trickster. It is a trickster, and it will own you. It will use your education, your spirituality, your knowledge, everything against you to trick you. And so then you doubt yourself, right? You doubt yourself. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust your decisions. You don't know if you should or you shouldn't. You have that, and that confusion, that anxiety. So fearless living, because you understand how you work in fear, you can see fear and therefore choose freedom. Choose to act more in alignment with who you really are, rather than what fear is convincing you to do. So yeah, without fearless living, I definitely wouldn't be here. Let's just put it that way.
I'm curious. We got a chance to meet back in 2013 at Delator McNeil's event, Full Throttle, which was down in Tampa, Florida. And you were teaching some principles then. And that was a couple of years ago. And I'm curious, what's your philosophy as it relates to fearless living? And what's 1, 2, or 3 principles that grounds you during these times?
That's a great question. Well, one of the things that grounds me is I have a fundamental philosophy, a fundamental belief, and this is what I train my life coaches to do and to really embody, is that we must reclaim our innocence. We must reclaim our innocence. We must reclaim our innocence, because innocence is the thing that's going to allow us to forgive, to let go, to quit beating ourselves up, to let go of the shame and blame. And I don't know about you, but I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, oh, I want to make $1 million, or I want to open my own business, or I'm kind of doing my own business. But really, after talking to them for a little bit, I discover that they're still paying a debt, not debt of money, but an emotional debt to a behavior they had in the past, or a thing they did in the past that is taking away their right to be successful. Right? So it's like, oh, but I did this thing, so therefore I can't do this, or, oh, I really want to do this, but if I think about, so they are paying a debt of the past. They have the debt, they have the punishment reward philosophy. And so, innocence is going to eliminate that whole conversation when you reclaim your innocence. The other thing that, when you ask me this question, the other thing that moves through me is liberating your language. Our language, literally, and we know this, it creates our lives, right? We know that our language creates our lives, but it also, what it does is not only creates our lives, it actually creates our neural pathways. So if we don't take back our brain, if we don't take back our neurobiology, we're going to be on automatic pilot, i.e. fear is going to run our lives. So I like to liberate people's language. I clean up people's language. If I'm talking to somebody, coaching somebody, teaching somebody, speaking, in my writing, everything is about, I know what you think, I know what your fears are just by listening to you. Because your language tells me everything that you believe, tells me everything that you believe about yourself, tells me all of your fears. And then the other thing that moves through me is I want you to master your fears. I want you to understand how fear works, because you can't express yourself until you know yourself. We start expressing ourselves, we get awkward, we feel like, oh my God, should I? Do I have a right to? What if I say the wrong thing? Oh my God, can I start making videos? I don't know, I feel stupid. It's all this conversation that really isn't any of your business. If you're really doing your calling, you don't get to decide all those things. It's none of your business, right? If you're called, you just do what you're told to do, right? You do what the calling is necessary. But we have all these conversations with ourselves because we don't understand what fear and freedom is. We don't understand when we're hearing fear, and we don't understand when we're hearing freedom. So those 3 things are really the things when you ask me, like, what are 2 or 3 principles? It's like, well, you got to reclaim your innocence, you got to liberate your language, and you got to master your fears.
You got to be able to master those fears. And if you can, take a moment and just share, why do you do what you do right now? I mean, we're going to dig a little deeper in this whole fearless living, but this might be a good time to slow down, and then we'll speed up. Before we do that, for those folks that are out there right now, you can pay this message forward. Rhonda's okay with this, meaning that you can hit the like button, right? You can hit the watch party button right now. you can hit the share button right now. If you want to pay this forward to your network, matter of fact, do that right now. Hit the watch party button, hit the share button. And when that little window pops up, just go ahead and put fearless living, hashtag Rhonda Britten. Just it's not about Rhonda, it's about people understand this whole concept of fearless living. So hit the share button, hit the watch party button, pay this forward to another entrepreneur, pay this forward to another single mom or single dad. We want you to pay this message forward because we believe the person outgives the competition, out-earns the competition. That's the giver's economy. Right. So the question I have for you now, Rhonda, as you're going through this right now, is what do you say to the person that says, before we tell them your story, that, you know what, Rhonda, I've been through so much in my life right now that's kind of been holding me back, and I'm having a hard time releasing. I know this is not a counseling session, but you work with millions of folks over the years. What do you say to folks that says, no, you don't understand what's in my closet. You don't really know what I'm keeping a secret, and I'm having a hard time letting it go. What do you say to those folks?
Well, I'm going to say a couple things. One is secrets kill. If you are keeping a secret, it's killing your energetic field. It's killing your ability to be motivated and inspired. It's killing your spirit. So secrets kill. And, I'm a firm believer that you don't have to tell all your secrets to one person. If you want to spread them around, that's okay. But anything that you think you have to keep a secret out of fear of what people will think, or out of fear of reprisal, or out of fear of rejection, out of fear of all those things, then that secret owns you. So just want you to get that. Like any secret that you're unwilling to tell somebody, and I don't care if it's a therapist, I don't care if it's me, I don't care if it's on a piece of paper, but you better be telling somebody, right? You better be telling somebody. So secrets kill. The other thing that I want to say is that, going back to the reward and punishment, I know for myself, I thought I had a debt, and I paid that debt for 20 years, and I paid that debt with my life. And, you asked me, why do I do what I do? Well, I'll be happy to share that. And I'm going to actually tell you about the worst day of my life, because that's, if you look at it, I think for many of us, the worst day of our life becomes the catalyst for our journey towards following our calling. And that was true for me. Now, I didn't know it for over 20 years. It took a long time for the catalyst to, ignite, or my willingness to see it. I was just like, I don't have a right. I really did not believe I had a right. So when somebody tells me, oh, Rhonda, you don't understand, I'm like, really? Let me tell you a little bit about me, and maybe you will now see that I perhaps understand, right? So when I was 14 years old, I grew up in Upper Michigan, 365 inches of snow a year. My parents were getting a divorce. It was Father's Day. My father was taking us out to brunch. And we have 3 girls, 2 parents, 5 people. That's a lot of money. And we never, and I do mean never, went out to eat. Once in a while, my dad would bring in a home, pizza, but that's it, right? So it's Father's Day. He's taking us out to brunch, to the fancy hotel. This is really amazing. My mom makes me all my clothes. So it's all my clothes for me. So she makes me a pretty white cotton dress for the occasion. And my father knocks on the door, walks in, come on, because we got to go to brunch. And my mother's fluffing up her beehive hairdo. My sisters are in the bathroom fighting it out. We have one bathroom. Our house is about 850 square feet. And I start walking out with my dad. My mom comes running out after us. My sister's still in the bathroom fighting it out. And my dad says, I got to get a coat from the car. It had started sprinkling. And so, and it's a Naga hide coat, by the way. So it was pretty darn cool. So my father opens his trunk to get his Naga hide coat, leisure suit coat. My mom and I are walking out of the door. And as I notice my father lifts his trunk up, I notice that he is not grabbing a coat, but my father is grabbing a gun. And he starts screaming at my mother, you made me do this, and he fires. Now, I am 14 years old, and I start screaming, Dad, what are you doing, Dad? What are you doing? Stop, Dad. And he cocks the gun again, and he points it at me. And absolutely, with every fiber of my being, I'm next. He blinks, I blink. He blinks, I blink. And in that second, literally I don't know how long it lasted. It felt like it lasted a year. I'm sure it was just 30 seconds, maybe a minute of us just staring at each other with that loaded gun between us. And my mother, with her last breath, literally sees the gun in my face and screams, no, don't. And with that bullet intended for me, my father realizes my mother's still alive, so he shoots her a second time. And the second bullet goes through my mother's abdomen and out her back and lands in the car horn, and for the next 20 minutes, all I hear is, eh. And then my father cocks the gun again, jumps to his knees, puts the gun to his head, and fires. So in a matter of 2 minutes, I was the sole witness to my father murdering my mother and committing suicide in front of me. Now, if you want to talk guilt and shame, I didn't save my mother. I did nothing heroic. I didn't jump in front of the gun. I didn't jump in front of her. I didn't kick him in the shins. I didn't grab the gun. I did nothing except, stop, Dan, stop. And now my parents are dead and I did nothing heroic. I did nothing to save them. When you watch your mother die and you are the only one that could stop it, you don't get to be happy. You don't get to be happy ever again. Happiness was off the table. So that day, I like to think, when I look back on it, I basically split into two. I split into the external Rhonda, who was a straight A student, played in the basketball, sang in the choir. And I walked around saying, I'm fine. I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Fine. I'm fine. Some people might be thinking right now, like, well, what did your relatives do? My relatives did nothing. They never came over. They never helped us. Nobody did. We were now ostracized from the community because your father killed your mother. So you're from that kind of family now. So I proceeded, like I said, to split myself into the outside world. I kept on getting straight A's and just pretended I was fine. But the internal knew there was something seriously wrong with me. I mean, my father's blood runs through my veins. And now I became afraid of myself. I became afraid of my feelings. I became afraid of my anger. I became afraid of everything because what was I capable of doing? And who was I? And what kind of person doesn't save their mother? So for the next 20 years, in college, I discovered alcohol, started drinking, actually became an alcoholic, got 3 DUIs, spent a little time in jail, and tried to kill myself 3 times. And it was that third suicide attempt that I realized I'm not dying and I'm not very good at killing myself. And I need to figure out another way, because if I'm going to live, if I have to live, if I'm not going to die, then I have got to figure this out, because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. Now, I want to preface this by saying during that whole time, I read my first self-help book when I was 12. Before my parents died, I had just announced to them I was going to be a minister. So I was a choir girl, in charge of my youth group and church, a straight A student. When I went to every therapy session, I went to every workshop, read every book, did trauma work, energy work, shaman work, oils, you name it, I have done it. And they were all good. They were all motivating and inspiring. They were all lovely, except none of it took away the feeling that I had in the middle of the night that there's something wrong with me, that maybe I really am stuck in the muck and mire. I really can't get out. Because again, everybody was like, Rhonda, you're so amazing. You're so smart. Because remember, I'm perfect on the outside. Right? I'm perfect on the outside. Even though I'm killing myself and trying to commit suicide and alcohol, people were like, oh, you're smart. You can do it. And I would hear it. I'd be like, yeah. But I couldn't get it. Right. And so it was only after my third suicide attempt when I started making up exercises for myself, out of desperation, mind you, out of desperation, that I really got that it's all fear, that it's really fear. Like everything I'd learned was wonderful and nice, but it didn't take away that feeling. But when I discovered fearless living, when I discovered the tool of what I call the wheel of fear and the wheel of freedom, my life radically changed. And I don't have feelings anymore that I'm not good enough. I don't have feelings that there's something wrong with me. I don't have any shame or blame. Like I don't shame or blame myself, guilt or worry. Those aren't even in my reality anymore. And before, that's all I had. So yeah, it took me time to actually own it. And again, I made the exercises up for me to change my life. And it was only, I was in church one day and this couple chased me out of the parking lot and said, what are you doing? You're different. I'm like, nothing. Because again, I was just ashamed of doing these exercises. I thought I was really screwed up if you have to create exercises for yourself. And I was like, nothing. I did not do it. They're like, no, you're different. What's going on? I'll never forget this. What's going on? And I just was like, I felt caught. I was embarrassed. And they said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm making up exercises for myself. And they're like, well, what is it? And I'm like, and I gave them one. And they're like, thanks. And then next week they come after church, chase me out in the parking lot again and say, hey, it's working. Could you give us another? And I'm like, what? That was the first moment that maybe I hadn't gone through 20 years of hell only to save my own life. Maybe I was here to contribute to others. Maybe I was meant to do something more. Now, it took me time to actually embody that and to actually do it. But that was the beginning, right? So when I say that I understand where you're coming from, I may not have the experience you had, but I definitely know the feeling that life has given up on you, or that you don't get to have the life you want because of, for whatever reason. I definitely understand that feeling.
Yeah, that feeling. And, you know, you shared something very personal. Thanks so much for sharing, by the way, and being so authentic. And as you were sharing your story and sharing that feeling, you threw something out there, and you just can't leave us hanging like that. You said there's something called the wheel of fear. I think it was Wheel of Fear. Was that what I heard?
Yeah, Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom.
So there's this Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom. And we don't have time to get into it. I get it. But I know as they're listening to you and hearing your story and saying, that's me. A piece of what she's doing is a piece of me. I know they like me. They heard Wheel of Fear, Wheel of Freedom. Shay, don't let her get away with this one now. Don't let her move. Even if she gives us one golden nugget, because how many ideas do you need to change your life out there? One good idea.
Well, you need one to get the neural pathways shifted, right?
That's right. So for those folks that are out there, I'm going to ask them, what is the Wheel of Fear and what is the Wheel of Freedom? As I'm doing that, you hit the share button. You hit the watch party button, and you write those words right now. Fearless living, hashtag Rhonda Britten. Fearless living, hashtag Rhonda Britten. You do that right now. You do that right now, because she's not saying fearless living is about rainbows, unicorns, and cupcakes. She's not saying that. No, she said, no, this thing is real. Now, I love Zig Ziglar, but she said it ain't about false evidence appearing real. Let me put that up. That's not what it's about. So go ahead and break down if you can. She's showing us in the book. Now she got to tell us where to get the book. Why is she trying to leave us hanging out here? All right. So tell them a little bit about the Wheel of Fear or the Wheel of Freedom. Give us a psychology behind it. And then they all want to know what book you're at some point. You got to tell us what book you're looking at, because they want to go get the book.
Absolutely. Well, it's out of my first book. I've written 4, but this is my first book, Fearless Living. And the Fearless Living book is where I break down on how to identify your own personal unique Wheel of Fear. And more importantly, let's get the Wheel of Freedom, because that's even more important, because you got to know what to do, right? Understanding your fear is one thing, but then you got to know what to do, right? Yeah. And so that's the lovely Wheel of Freedom, right? And the Wheel of Freedom actually is what you shift to the minute you discover that you're triggered by fear. So before I do that, do you mind if I give a little quiz out?
Yes.
Do we have time for a quiz?
We got time. This is you.
Okay, good.
It's the one and only Rhonda, by the way. You guys are behind the scenes. This is like so cool.
Well, thank you so much. And the reason I want to give a quiz is that there might be somebody just like me. Mm-hmm. I never thought I was afraid during those whole 20 years. During those whole 20 years where I was killing myself and drank, like if you would have said I'm afraid, I would have been like, no, I'm not.
Right.
I never associated with fear it didn't even, I grew up in Upper Michigan, right? Like I'm a Finlander. Like I'm not afraid. You suck it up, right? So the fact that when I was at my darkest night and that I even was willing to even see fear was extraordinary. Like it was just, the willingness for me to even contemplate that was amazing. So I want to give a little quiz, because I think people think that fear is I'm afraid or I'm scared. No. Fear shows up in a myriad of other ways. In fact, it very rarely shows up in I'm afraid or I'm scared, but it does show up in a lot of other ways. So I'd love to give everyone a quiz right now. So wherever you are, if you're driving, don't do the next following thing. I'm going to give an instruction of shutting your eyes. And again, if you're driving, do not shut your eyes. But I want you to shut your eyes, and I want you to nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. And the reason I want you to shut your eyes and nod your head is because I want you to own that you do these things and feel these things. It's not to shame you or blame you. It's to wake you up, right? It's to wake you up, because I'm going to give you some good news after we take this quiz. So I want you to nod your head, close your eyes if you're able, and then nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things, okay? So do you ever deny yourself? Do you ever isolate? Do you ever pretend everything's okay when it's not? Do you ever hide? Do you ever compare? How about settle? Do you ever whine? How about judge? Do you ever get defensive? Manipulate? Do you ever complain? Do you wait and call it patience? Do you procrastinate? Do you worry, struggle, blame, try to control? Do you become a perfectionist? Do you ever feel bitter, powerless? Do you ever feel resentful, entitled, guilty, disappointed, irritated, like now? Do you ever feel overwhelmed or ignored or annoyed? Or do you ever get caught in self-pity? Do you ever feel like a victim? Yeah. So go ahead and open your eyes. And anybody need a chiropractor? Woo, yes. And I'm going to say, when I talk to an audience, I don't care if it's 10 people or 1,000 people, 80% or more usually have all of these. They nod their head on all of these. So these are how fear shows up for most people, right? It doesn't show up and I'm afraid. It shows up, I'm overwhelmed. Well, you can't get overwhelmed. You can't get overwhelmed. This is a symptom. You can't get overwhelmed unless you have the root of fear. You can't procrastinate without the root of fear. You can't be a perfectionist without the root of fear. You can't get anxious without the root of fear, right? You can't feel guilty without fear. So all of these symptoms that I just labeled, that I just read out, are manufactured, are created because there is what I call, again, the wheel of fear, the core fear underneath, causing these symptoms, right? And what we do as human beings is we get caught up on the symptoms. Oh, if I only quit procrastination. Oh, if I only quit being overwhelmed. Oh, if I only quit, being a perfectionist. Oh, if I only quit being anxious, right? And that's, again, I get it, but you're just changing chairs on the Titanic. Instead, we actually want to start going to the root, because this is what happens when you understand the root. Again, this is the wheel of fear. When you understand your core fear, what happens is these symptoms, literally 50%, just knowing it, just knowing your wheel of fear, 50% disappear because there's no reason for it anymore, because you see it. It can't trick you. Then I always say 30% of the 50% left is like, it's going to take some little bit of time for you to practice and see it and go, oh, yeah, and then shift. And then there's going to be 10 to 20% that are kind of your core, like, I'm hanging on to these for dear life. I don't deserve to let go of these. They're going to take a little bit more effort because you need to change your neural pathways. And while you practice going from your wheel of fear to wheel of freedom, you are actually going to dismantle, right? You're going to dismantle your wheel of fear, and these symptoms start either disappearing or you know what to do when you have one, right? You get overwhelmed, you know immediately to go to your wheel of freedom, right? You immediately know to go to your wheel of freedom. So that's what I teach. Fearless living is the bridge between how do you move from fear, which is, by the way, built into our neurobiology. There's no way to get rid of fear. There's no way to, when people say, I don't have any fear, I'm like, okay. Or if you hear a class saying, oh, you're going to never feel afraid again. It's like, that's part of your neurobiology. You're supposed to actually have fear. But what happens is fear paralyzes, or fear creates excuses, or fear creates complaining, or fear creates illness, or fear creates et cetera, excuses. And because you don't know that this isn't your fault. This isn't your fault. This isn't your fault. This isn't your fault. What is your fault is if you hear me now speaking about fear and the wheel of freedom and you don't do something about it, right? So, but it is not your fault that you have fear. Nobody ever talked about this thing. I didn't know about this stuff. I had to, I was good enough that God gave it to me. God gave me this thing, because I know I'm not smart enough to figure this out, but God gave it to me. And I say the difference between me and other people is I listened. I said, okay, God, I'll do it. And I applied it to my life. Didn't know that God had an intention of me of helping anybody else. But then, as I embodied it, it struck me hard, like, this isn't yours to keep. This is yours to give. So yeah, the wheel of fear, man, you have all these symptoms. All the things I read out are symptoms of fear. And that's what you think your problems are, but they're just symptoms of fear. They're not your problems.
They're not your problems. Take a moment if you can, and you broke that thing down so brilliantly. This is like really cool. This is like being at a $25,000 type of mastermind session right now. Like, you're just laying those golden nuggets out. Curiosity is just getting the best of all of us. And I got 3 notes. Jeff Sade is out there right now. Montez is out there right now. Carol is out there right now. And for those folks that are out there, look right below the video right now. Just put fearless living, put fearless living, Rhonda Britten. Don't worry, I'm going to ask the question they sent me. Normally I don't do this, but they want to, okay, affirmations. Do they work? Do they not work? And do you have your favorite, affirmation or thought or something that you tell yourself?
I am so grateful that you are asking me this question.
I didn't ask the question. That was Monica's question.
Okay, Monica, thank you for the question. So let's talk about affirmations versus what I call intentions. So in the world, like, I'm a God girl, right? And I do, you name it again, like I've done it. I actually studied with Shakti Gawain, who was the first person living in the light, was the very first affirmation book in the world, right? The modern world. I sat in her living room with 5 people in like 1985 or 87 and studied with her on affirmations. So I know a lot about affirmations, but I also want to tell you this, that they didn't work for me. And I'm going to tell you why. So let's talk about the difference between affirmations and intentions. And I'm going to talk about the difference between affirmations and mantras, because the way you're using affirmations may be exactly how I use intentions and how I exactly use mantras. So I want to state that, like, you may be saying affirmations in the way that I'm calling them intentions. So listen to what I'm saying and see, oh, am I doing affirmations or am I doing intentions based on what Rhonda's talking about, right? Again, and oh, by the way, I'll just do another caveat. If affirmations work for you, knock yourself out and keep doing them. My friend Shelly, she teaches affirmations. That's her whole work. And I have several friends that do affirmation work. That's their whole business. That's what they love to do. And they believe in it 100%. Now, again, if it works for you, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. But they didn't work for me. All right. Like, again, they didn't work for me. And I'll tell you why they didn't work for me. Affirmations, in the way that I studied it and the way that I know it, is about changing the external world, right? I am now driving my perfect car, right? I am now, with my soulmate. I am now, right? It's changing the external world. So I am something's happening out there, some energetic, that anything I want to change that's out there, I want to bring forward, right? I want to bring forward, right? Well, if I'm doing an affirmation in that particular style, am I looking outside or inside? Am I looking for how well I'm performing on the outside or inside? I'm externally focused. I'm constantly going, how am I doing? How am I doing? Am I getting that car? Am I getting that love? Am I getting that? Where's the money? Right? I'm doing my affirmations and I'm looking eyeball to eyeball, because you got to do eyeball to eyeball in the mirror for 30 days, 10 times a day. And I did it. And why isn't it happening? Right? And so then, you know what I would do? I'd beat myself up. My affirmations must not be good enough. I must not be doing them right. Go to Shakti's, apartment and say, why am I not doing these right? Why aren't I getting the things that I say I want? Right? Oh, well, your energy must be off. Or, oh, you must really mean it, right? Or, oh, right? There's some like, oh, you have to do something, right? Like, it's like, come on, people, right? So I don't want to look externally for my results, right? So I created something called intentions. And again, I've been teaching this for over 25 years, and now a lot of people teach intention. But again, they don't do it the Rhonda Britten way, right? The fearless living way. So intentions, again, affirmations. Let's use a very simple one. Like, let's say I'm now in a loving relationship with my soulmate. Could be an affirmation. I'm now in a loving relationship with my soulmate. So I'm gonna look around. Where's my soulmate? Where's my soulmate? And every man I meet, I'm like, is he my soulmate? Is he my soulmate? Is he my soulmate? Right? Every man, hi, right? I'm going to change that into an intention, i.e. fearless living way. And how you start an intention is, I am willing to practice. So I am willing to practice. And so now the affirmation of, I am now in a loving relationship with my soulmate becomes, I'm willing to practice being loving in all my relationships. So I change. I'm the one. I don't look outside. I have to change who I am, my energetic field, everything. Now, if I practice being loving to myself and others, do you think I'll have more love in my life? Yes. Do you think I'm more likely to, quote unquote, attract the love of my life? Yes. Right? But everybody, again, affirmations, as we know, oh, I'm now in a relationship with my soulmate. My brain goes, no, you're not. No, yes, I am. I'm going to do this affirmation. Yeah, no, it's not working. Shut up. Shut up. Right? I'm not. Quit talking to me. Right? So you're fighting with yourself. So instead of fighting with yourself, instead of competing with your brain, I always say never fight with fear. Never fight with fear. Fear will always win. It's as smart as you, educated and spiritual as you are, it knows everything you know. It will always win. So you can't go against the grain. You have to work with the flow, not against the grain. So in the world of fearless living, we change affirmations to intentions. And then our goals, because again, we all need goals, but goals serve the intention instead of the intention serving the goal. So if I have my intention, I create goals in order to serve the intention. And then it's in the proper order. My values are first, the things that matter to me first, not the goal. The goal becomes a subset, not the end result, right? I want to focus on becoming who I'm meant to be, not getting what I think I need in order to heal myself or make myself feel better or tell the world how great I am, because that's all based in fear.
I love it. I love it. I love how you laid that out. I love that. And that's one of the things that you do, and you do so well, is that you don't just try to inspire or motivate or encourage. If you notice, one of the things that Rhonda's doing over and over again, and this is just a quick tidbit, but is that she's giving you a practical tool.
That's right.
She's giving you some type of structure. She's sharing some type of system that you can use now.
Well, I love that you say that, because I got to tell you, when I was going through those 20 years of hell, I would read books and they'd be like, love yourself. And I'd be like, how do you love yourself if you don't know how to love yourself? Right?
Yeah.
How do you get fearless if you don't know how to get fearless? Right? Like, so I'm so grateful that you said this, and very few people really get that. I'm so grateful, because I am all about how. Like, I'm all about hanging onto your hand full on, like hanging on with two hands and saying, come on, follow me, grab my sweater, and let's go, let's get through the tunnel together, right? Because if you don't have somebody to walk with you, and if you do not know how to start making money, if you don't know how to start loving yourself, if you don't know how to reclaim your innocence, if you don't know how to liberate your language, I don't care how I tell you how great it is, you're just going to be like, why aren't I getting this? And that inspiration, I'll say this one more thing, is that inspiration to me is awesome. Of course, I want inspiration, right? That's why we're here. We need to inspire, because inspiration creates an opening, right? Inspiration creates an opening for you to walk through. But this is the key. You have to walk through it. Inspiration is not the change. Inspiration is not the change. Inspiration gives you a window of opportunity to take a risk, to walk someplace that you've maybe not been brave enough to walk before, right? So that's what inspiration is. It's not meant to be the change. It's the opportunity to change. So, all right.
Yeah, no. You're spot on. And as you do that, that's probably a great segue, because we have a philosophy here as you're talking through that. Don't worry, I'm going to ask Rhonda how you can connect with her. I'm going to ask Rhonda that. Don't worry. She's in overtime. She don't even know she's in overtime, but she's in overtime right now. She's doing a great job, because it's the one and only Rhonda Britten. And I want to let you guys know, she's the same way you see her now as if you were in the room with her, by the way. So she is the real deal. But we have a core philosophy here, Rhonda, called Today is My January 1st. And for those folks that are hearing that for the very first time, hold on, I'll tell you what it means. For those folks that know what I'm about to do, you can look right below the video. What's up, Dr. Ethel? You can look right below the video. What's up, Jeff K? What's up, Susie? And you can write these words. Today is my January 1st. And today is my January 1st. If you want to know what in the LL Cool J is Shay talking about, some of you out there, it doesn't represent a date on a calendar. Today is my January 1st represents one of those moments throughout the day. And there's probably about 1,000+ moments where we get to make a decision. And that decision can forever change the trajectory of our life. That's a January 1st moment, right? So you make a decision, you're going to work out. Or you're going to sit back and binge watch and watch Netflix. You make a decision that you're going to eat hamburgers and French fries and Coke, and you got to have some salt and pepper. No, I know you need some ketchup and hot sauce if you're in my neighborhood. Got to have some hot sauce. Or you go to your refrigerator and you open up the refrigerator, and inside the refrigerator there's some kale. I know that sounds good, doesn't it? Oh, there's some broccoli. I'll have some of that. There's some Brussels sprouts. That's a January 1st moment. So today is my January 1st represents a do-over, a fresh start. My past doesn't equal my future. As my daddy, Marshall Brown, used to say, your future is spotless, Jay. It's spotless. You get to create it. So, Rhonda, my question to you as you're listening is, when you hear those words, and for those folks that are writing today is my January 1st, when you hear those words, Rhonda, today is my January 1st, what kind of goes to that mind of yours over there?
I feel happiness and just a relaxation and a relief and a yes, today is my January 1st. I can let go of the blame and shame, right? And regret. Like, if today is your January 1st, then last night you did, December 31st, you burned all your past. You let everything go. And you decide today, right? You've been preparing, you've been planning. We all know what we do on January 1st. We all know that. We all know what we want to do. We all know what we say we're going to do. We all know that. Come on now, And so if it's today's January 1st, then I can decide guilt-free. I can say to myself, I paid the debt. I don't have to stay in the punishment reward module. I don't have to stay in that punishment reward paradox. Instead, I can transcend that and actually make a choice to follow my calling, to do what I'm here to do, and not get held back by the fear that is tricking me into punishment reward and thinking that I have to earn it, or thinking that I have to be valuable or worthy. People say to me all the time, oh, I have a worth issue. I'm like, you do not have a worth issue. You have a fear issue. It's not worth. You just call it worth, because then you can keep beating yourself up and putting yourself down. So, if it's January 1st, then I get to give myself that moment, that breath of fresh air, that break, and say, today is the day that I choose to live the life my soul intended. Today is the day I choose to live my life my soul intended. And boy, do I need a lot of support, because I know I'm going to get scared. I know I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Okay, today is the day I choose. Today is the day I choose. I choose this day. I choose what to do, and claim full responsibility. I have something that I teach my students, 3 daily practices. One is compassion. First, got to have compassion for yourself. Reclaim that innocence first and foremost. Then you got to be honest with yourself. But notice I said compassion first, because if you're honest without compassion, you're probably just going to be mean. And then personal responsibility is last, because without compassion first, to reclaim that innocence, then telling yourself the truth, then you can own what's yours, because a lot of people put personal responsibility first, and then they're owning other people's crap, and it's not actually even their crap, right? So we want to put it in order. We want compassion first, then honesty, then personal responsibility. And today is the day that I can practice those 3 things and claim them for myself and say, yes to me, yes to my mission, yes to the thing that's moving through me. So to me, when you tell me today is January 1st, I'm like, I am pure as the driven snow. I can decide today. Who I want to be today, right? I've been sober 32 years, and I had a lot of January 1st to get sober, right? Every day was like, oh God, I wanted a drink, and more than I wanted sobriety. And I kept really focused in order to get 32 years sober, right? So it's like today. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that so much. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And the question that comes up, you have so many January 1st moments, but the one I'm most curious about, and maybe someone watching is curious about, what was the January 1st moment that you decided you was going to plant your flag, you was going to draw a line in the sand, and you was going to teach others your concept, your idea, so they could free up the world, so they could have more fearless living going on out there? You didn't keep it all to yourself and say, well, it's behind this locked door. You're teaching other people. You're certifying folks. And before she does that, she's going to talk about that moment and why she does that, why she teaches other people to be life coaches and do what they do. You hit the share button. You watching out there right now. I want you to hit the share button. I want you to hit the watch party button. I want you to pay this message forward. If you can do that, you've done it already, we thank you so much. It means so much, because we believe, as I said before, in the giver's economy. The person that outgives the competition out-earns the competition. So you can pay this forward. Rhonda didn't ask for a Cash App payment. She didn't ask for a Zelly payment. There was no swipers to see. Shh, her publicist might find out. Shh. She said, I'm here to serve plus add value. Serve plus add value. And how special is that? So you hit the watch party button. That's how you can pay it forward. And then also look below the video and write fearless living. Hashtag Rhonda Britten. All right, Rhonda Britten, what was that January 1st moment that you decided you're going to teach other people your message, your methodology, so they can go out there and they can free others in the world?
So I just want everyone to take a deep breath, because if you're a God person, you're going to love it. And if you're not a God person, listen anyway, because it felt like it came from God. But again, you can use whatever you want. Maybe you got an intuitive hit. Let's call it that. Like whether it's intuition, whether it's God, whether it's source, again, whatever you want to call it. But in actuality, I absolutely, like I said, I absolutely believe that well, first of all, when I first started, it was 1995, and there were 5 coaches in the world, and I was definitely, like not one of them, right? And we didn't even know what coaching was. I actually owned my own PR company, and a little, I had like 5 clients, and I worked with solo entrepreneurs. And one of my entrepreneurs was the first one of the life coaches in the world. So I was helping him, and he would always say to me, oh, Rhonda, you're going to be a better coach than me. I'd be like, no, I'm never going to coach people because I'm too screwed up. And I mean, he would say that to me all the time, oh, you're going to be a better coach than me. I'd be like, you are a crazy man, right? This is the moment that I'll tell you 2 moments that happened in a row, so that because one is the first moment, and then the second moment is when I decided. So I'm at his office. We're brainstorming something that he's going to be teaching, and I'm sitting there helping him, just brainstorming. And I'm sitting on the couch, he's on the whiteboard, and for the God people, listen up. For the people who are not God, change it to intuition. And I'm going to tell something I very rarely talk about, because I feel like I'm in a safe place to do that. But I'm sitting there listening to him, and all of a sudden, no other way to say it, the world opened up on my right-hand side, like way up on the wall, the ceiling, and a book came out, and it did this. Shut and disappeared. And I was like, what just happened? What I heard when that book was, every question that I'd ever asked was answered. I'd always asked myself, like, why are poor people spiritual and rich people not spiritual? Why are, rich people, like all these conversations, every question I've ever asked, every question I've ever had about spirit, God, life, parents, everything, I knew the answer. And not only did I know the answer, what came with the answers was the job of, now you have to share it with others. And I'm like, what? No. The good news is the next day, my next choice was that the next day I actually, and by the way, before I even moved there, when that book shut, I looked at Paul, who was my client, who I was working with, thinking that it must be for him because it can't be for me. And he was still talking. He didn't know what was happening. And then we were the only two people in the room. And I still turned around and went, God, this cannot be talking to me. No, it must be for somebody else. Must be for somebody else. And there was nobody else in that room. The next day, thank God, I had a appointment with my minister, and I ran to my minister and said, I got this thing that happened, and it told me that I had to start telling it, like sharing this. And she goes, oh, you got the call. And I go, yeah, but I have to go. I had 3 classes left for my bachelor's. I'd left college, without graduating. Then I'd have to go get my master's. I'd have to go get my PhD. Then I'd have to write a book. I'm 7 to 10 years out. That's what I told her. I don't have the right to talk about this stuff. I'm still screwed up. And she goes, if you got the call, you're ready. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I don't think you heard me. I cannot do that. No one's going to listen to me. I just not too long ago, I was drinking and going to jail and trying to kill myself. I can't do that. No one's going to believe me. Who wants to listen to me? You got the call. If you got the call, you're ready. And we had 6 months of appointments before I finally surrendered. And Paul, who was my client, became my mentor. And I would, work with people for free in the beginning, and I'd go to their house, for God's sake, and meet with them, and then run to Paul's house and be like, okay, she said this, I said this, he said this, she said, I said that. What do I do? What do I do now? What do I do now? Right? And then basically through his mentoring and the apprenticeship, I started to understand how this all worked. But more importantly, I started to trust myself and the answers that I received and the work that I was given to share with the world became, got in my bones, and I was able to really talk about it. So it became like private sessions. Then I started teaching workshops, and then I started speaking, and then I wrote a book, and then I was on TV, and then I had a radio show, and then I was on TV, etc. So I could never plan for any of this. Like I always say, it's none of my business what I do next. But I think the difference between me and other people, and it doesn't have to be this way, is that I surrendered to the call. It took me months, but I finally did it. And I think people do know the call. They have that clarity moment. They have that insight. I always say, like, you have that moment. You have that clear moment. Like, something. You know it to your bones. But then it lasts like a half a second, right? It's like you have the clarity, and then it goes away, and you believe the fog more than the millisecond of clarity. The millisecond of clarity is the thing to devote your life to. The millisecond of clarity is the thing to follow. The millisecond of clarity is God or passion or intuition or your pull saying this over here. Don't get confused about the fog. Don't get confused about your whether you doubt it or not. It doesn't matter. Your opinion of you is none of your business. You are meant to follow the call, the clarity, the moment. And so, if you've had that moment of clarity, and I know you have, if you're listening to me right now, if you're listening to us right now, I know you've had that moment of clarity. Now it's time to become the person you need to be in order to follow the call. Because that's your job. That's entrepreneurship. I believe entrepreneurship helps me in my spiritual life, helps me become the person I'm meant to be. I don't have to be done to have my business. My business is making me, growing me, changing me to become the person I need to be. Still to this day, I've been doing it for 25 years, and this business still allows me to, where do I have to open my heart? Where do I have to forgive? Where do I have to let go? Where do I have to claim responsibility? Where do I have to speak up? Where, like, my business is one of the greatest gifts that God's given me in order for me to become who I was meant to be. So your business isn't for when you're done. Your business is to help you be on the path to become the person that you were born to be.
You know, you probably heard this before as folks are out there, like Don Bates is out there watching right now. So many folks. Sheila Reynolds, what's up, Sheila Reynolds? She's out there. You got the crew. You bring out the all-stars, Rhonda. You just bring out the all-stars. It's just who you are. But I'm curious, you may have heard this before, that there's truth inside of truisms. And one of the truisms out there today is that consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. And having said that, what do most people struggle with? My hand is raised, by the way. They struggle with consistency. So no matter how excited people are, like they were back on December 31st, after a couple of drinks on the back of a napkin, they started writing down their New Year's resolutions. They were fired up like they are right now. Today's my January 1st. I'm going to do it, Rhonda. And then somewhere along the line, they got off track. Take a moment. Here's the question. What do you share with your clients, and maybe what do you do in order to just be consistent, in order to hashtag stay the course?
I cannot do that by myself. And I think people think that they're isolated people, that they're like, I'm the one with the idea, and therefore I'm the one that has to be consistent. It's like, I could not do that. I'm not a consistent person in that way. That's not how I am. I'm a visionary. And visionaries, the last thing we want to do is be consistent. Right? It's the project managers, it's the integrators, right? It's the operations people. They're consistent, right? They're the ones that are like clockwork. But visionaries, that's the last thing we want to be. We're visionaries, and visionaries are spontaneous, and they want to be turned on, and they want to give. And yeah, consistency, I'm crappy at consistency. So I don't trust myself to be consistent. I, Rhonda Britten, don't trust myself to be consistent. I know that in order for me to be consistent, to serve my clients, to serve my students, to serve the world, I must have somebody holding my hand and being right with me to do this in partnership or in group, depending on what it is. And I need that person that actually has that skill, that is their nature, to help me walk that path. And I think sadly, and I was the same way when I first started in solo entrepreneurship, you think you have to do it by yourself because you're worried about money, you're worried about time, right? But it doesn't take money, right? You just need to find somebody who's on the same path as you and become accountability buddies, right? Or, join a program that has accountability built in, or et cetera, right? So I get it. Consistency is, and you're afraid. I know for me, consistency feels like, oh, I'm not going to be inspired and excited, right? Well, after writing 3 books, it's amazing when you're on deadline. You get excited regardless of what. Like artists always tell me like, oh, I just need more inspiration. It's like, no, you need to start painting and you'll get inspired. When you start writing, you'll get inspired. People are waiting for inspiration. No, inspiration comes after you start the work. It's in the mix after you start writing, after you get on that video, after. So don't wait for inspiration. Put a structure in place, get an accountability buddy, hire somebody to help you, or build alliances. Because if you're a visionary like me, consistency is the least thing you're going to, again, it's the right answer, but it's not in your natural nature to do that. So you got to have support. If you want to become who you're meant to be, you got to get support.
I would agree with that 100%. And they might be wondering, Shay, two questions actually. One, what type of folks do Rhonda work with? Do they have to be professionals? Do they have to be entrepreneurs? Do they have to have degrees? That's number one. So what type of folks does Rhonda even work with these days? Because it could be me, or it might be someone I know. And then the second part behind that is, how do they stay in this conversation with you? How do they connect so they can be part of your tribe and part of what's going on in your community over there?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. That's very kind of you. Well, the first thing is that I work with, I'm one of those people that's like, niche? What niche? I've been doing coaching for 25 years. So I've helped people get married, lose weight, open a business, triple their income. So I work with people who are, stuck in searching, or they feel they have sporadic success, right? They know they can do it, or they've had success in certain areas. Maybe they were that straight A student over here, or maybe they, are really good over here, but they haven't been able to quite master it in other places in their life. Maybe they're a devoted mother, but they really can't speak up for themselves. Or maybe, they own their own business, but they have trouble with their partner, or they don't know how to triple their income in the sense of being quote unquote worthy of it, right? So one is that I am niche free. And really what I do is I help people who want to live the life their soul intended. So I work with people, I've had clients in their 14, 18 to 75, 80. And most of my coaches are anywhere between the ages of, I have some 20-year-olds. My youngest coach who came to us to become a certified fearless living coach was 20 years old. And the oldest person we've come to certify with us is, I think, 75. So as you can see, it's really, I always say that if you like what I'm saying and you resonate with me, then I very well may be your teacher, your coach, right? Now, how you can reach out to me is I would love to give a little bonus gift, if I may.
Absolutely. Go right ahead. Obviously, yes.
Okay. Great. So I have this really cool exercise called Stretchers Can Die, which we did not have time to go over today, but it's one of my core tools. And in this class, I'm teaching a live class to about 20 people in a company, and it's called Stretchers Can Die. And there's 3 videos, about 15 minutes each. And in the third video, I actually go through the Wheel of Fear. So you can learn about the Wheel of Fear. So go to fearlessliving.org, fearlessliving.org/risk, R-I-S-K, fearlessliving.org/risk, R-I-S-K. And then you're going to go ahead and sign up. I'm going to give you that course as my gift to you for listening and to say, like, I want more fearless living. And you can learn that tool of Stretchers Can Die. By the way, it's going to cure procrastination. It's going to cure if you feel like you skip things and you're not really getting where you want to go. That consistency issue, you actually learn some things about yourself. Because Stretchers Can Die is a solution for people that want to make more sales, that want to, again, start building their dream. It's one of my major tools. So you're going to learn a lot. And there's also worksheets in there and tools that you can use to help you embody Stretchers Can Die. So go to fearlessliving.org/risk, R-I-S-K, and grab it.
For those folks out there, do me a favor, write that right below the video. Rhonda's tuned in. She's here with you right now. She's in the present moment. But you out there right now, you might be wondering, how can I help? How can I support? One, look right below the video, and you're going to pay this message. I know these videos go viral. I get it, okay? But do it because you want someone else to be able to get the message. So just type www.fearlessliving.org/risk, R-I-S-K. And just do that right now. Just do that right now. It's a free gift. As a matter of fact, let's all make sure the website works. No, seriously. Rhonda's nothing personal. Sometimes these things don't work. So why don't we all pause? We'll tell Rhonda to breathe. Ooh, yeah, whatever she does. While you out there right now, you watching, you open up a browser, and if you're on your phone, open up a browser, and then let's make sure the website works. If it don't work, we can tell Rhonda, hey, the website don't work. So type in www.fearlessliving.org. It's .org, O-R-G. I'm going over there myself. Hold on, I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay. Fearlessliving.org.
I feel like I have to do the same thing too.
Risk, R-I-S-K.
S-K. That's right.
You're not being fearful over there, are you? You're not fearful your site don't work, are you?
No, I'm like this. Damn, I got to check that. Oh, no, it's working. I'm good.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're not nervous over there. Okay. And the site does work. Oh, yay. Let's get right here. I was wondering if you're going to start sweating over there. I was wondering if there's going to be any fear going through it. Like, oh, my God, did my team get it right? Did they get it right? Did they give me the right website? Go over there now. Fill out the form. You can put your first name in, put your email in, and follow the instructions. Go do that. That's her gift to you, and we certainly will appreciate that. Quick question while we're in what's called rapid fire. In rapid fire, Ron, is when I get to ask any question I want. You can deny. You don't have to answer it. But we get to ask any question we want. And the first question that's on top of my mind is, of all the ideas, you got 4 freaking books, you train, you teach, you could talk about this for a whole week, but what is your number one key to success? If you said, Shay, I got to take one, and it might not be your number one, but you got to take one of the keys to success, and maybe you mentioned it already, and what is it, and share that with us.
Put your blinders on.
What does that mean?
Quit looking outside of yourself. Quit looking at your competition. Quit comparing yourself. You are on your own train. When I first started in 1995, obviously the internet was new. I had my first website in 1997, et cetera. I was sending emails through AOL en masse in 1997. But there were people writing books and doing things, and I put my blinders on, and I didn't give a crap what they were doing. I was on my path, in my way. And again, I get that you want to look and maybe see like, oh, that's a good idea. But at one point, you got to actually stop doing that as well. You got to do what you're called to do, because if you get more ideas, as we know, right? We know like how many ideas. I mean, I love ideas. I want inspiration, so I want ideas. But those ideas actually bog you down and they cause confusion. So putting my blinders on is absolutely the number one reason I'm sitting here today, in the sense of I did that in 1995, put my blinders on and just started going.
I love it. I love it. You've had so many mentors. I have my blinders on, by the way. You have so many mentors along this journey of life. And if you had to pick one idea that you learned from one of your mentors that you would pass on to us, so we get the benefit from something you've learned from one of your mentors that you're going to pass it on to us, what would the one idea be or thought that they've shared with you?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to say that it was the minister when I was, in 1995, when she said to me, "You got the call, you're ready." I think that was the most valuable thing that any mentor has said. And again, obviously had lots of support, but really that moment and working through that with her, because again, it took me 6 months to say yes to get my first client to start this process. And then it took me 6 months to have, in the first 6 months of my practice, in my coaching practice, I had 2 clients. I couldn't get anybody to hire me. But at the 6-month mark, I figured it out. Like I got it. I got what I was supposed to do. And within 1 week, I had 20 clients, and I've never looked for clients since. So, and I've been doing this for 25 years. So I think just knowing that if you are called, that you are ready, regardless of your opinion of yourself, I think that is faith. That is walking your path.
Yeah. Why does Rhonda, still do this? When I say still do this, you're taking time out of your life right now. And I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And you're giving us the most precious resource you have. And you, the viewer, you're the one that's watching. Thank you so much for being here. We love and appreciate you too, because you're trusting us with your time. You're trusting us with your energy. And we want to make sure we're giving you value. So look right below the video, and you can write, "Thank you, Rhonda," or "We appreciate you, Rhonda." You're like, "Well, I don't want to mention that." You can put "Fearless Living," #Rhonda Britten. That's a big thank you to her, because someone else will see that, and that might give them some energy. So I'm going to ask her, she didn't have to stop and do this program. She could be out loving life and hanging out with her cat and doing some other things. So I'm just curious, why do you still stop and do something like you're doing right now, where you're blessing other folks, making a difference for them in their life and helping them break through, not only break through, but live a fearless life? Why?
Because my life is devoted to this, right? This is what I'm meant to do. But really more importantly is I am here to help create a fearless world. And so more than ever, we must join together and create a fearless world. So I don't care if you have 50 people, 10 people, 1,000 people, 800 people. Really right now, I don't want to say more than ever, but it just feels such an urgency. When the pandemic hit, I spoke to 40 groups in 30 days. And it's like, people need to hear my voice. People need to hear that it's going to be okay. People need to know that, when you have the certainty, when you understand who you are, when you understand how fear works, that your life can be what it's meant to be. You are going to become the person you are meant to be. You were born to be. So yeah, I'm devoted. I'm passionate. I'm just as passionate now as I was the day I surrendered.
So what does Rhonda do for fun when she's not out saving the world, making a difference in everybody else's life?
Well, one of the things that I've been doing during the pandemic, which has been a lifesaver, because, I'm in LA, which is still a hot spot. We still don't get to go out to restaurants. We still, we're on mandatory masks, et cetera. My best friend, every Saturday, I have a beautiful balcony, a patio out in my back of my house. And my best friend walks down my driveway, doesn't come in my house, walks down my driveway, comes around the back, and we go take a walk together, walk 3, 4, 5 miles. And then we come back and order lunch at one of our favorite restaurants that we used to go to, physically. And then we sit outside and eat lunch together on my patio. And right now during the pandemic, I got to tell you, that is one of my greatest saving graces, that I get to see my best friend every week, every Saturday. If it's Saturday, that's what I'm doing.
I love it. Second to last question. What can folks expect from Rhonda Britten? Is they're following her right now, and I'm sure they're following you on Instagram. They're over at fearlessliving.org/risk. That's fearlessliving.org /risk, and they're doing that and they're following you on social media. What can they expect from you? What's new? What's exciting? What can they expect from the one and only, the lovely, the person herself, Rhonda Britten? I had to say that.
Well, I'm so excited because I am just about to launch. I had a membership in the year 2000 before anybody had memberships. And, I was ahead of my time as usual, ahead of my time. And so now I'm coming full circle and I'm actually opening up and putting all of my courses, my 25 years of courses and conversations and keynotes and talks and ebooks and books into a membership site. So it's called Fearless You, YOU. And we are going to be doing the founders launch in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be doing the public launch. And, I just urge you to get into the founders of the public launch in order to actually take advantage of the better pricing, right? And I'm starting my Fearless You podcast. So that's going to be launching at about the same time. So right now I have a podcast called Master Coach Mindset that I talk about coaching and coaching skills. But this is for every person, right? This is for every person that wants to get more fearless. So I am so excited. This has been something I've been wanting to do for literally 5 years. And because of the pandemic, because I travel 70% of the time, because of the pandemic, I actually have time to do it. So I am so excited. Finally, something that I've been wanting to do for several years and haven't had the bandwidth, I am now manifesting and making true. So yeah, Fearless You, you're going to be hearing all about Fearless You. And so I'm so excited because this is what I've been, like I said, this has been a dream of mine for at least 5 years. And now it's coming to fruition and it's a lot of hard work. And I'm so excited. And it's going to be where you're going to be able to take How to Find Your Purpose class and 21 Days of Love and Change Your Life in 30 Days and Create a Year That Matters. And, and then get coaching and get support and ask me questions. And yeah.
Wow.
It's exciting. I'm excited.
I can hear the excitement in your voice. We can't wait. Now, if someone says, hey, how do I get on the list to make sure I'm part of and know what's going on, you go over to fearlessliving.org/risk. And I'm assuming once they register, then they'll be put into a system that will allow them to stay in this conversation, stay connected with you, so they're getting the updates that are coming out. Because I know some folks are like, I'm on the edge, Shay. Hey, I want to be part of this founders launch. Come on, somebody, please. Well, she said a way to do it, okay? And so let me first say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate you participating in the Comeback Champion Summit that you're participating in, by the way, to help folks that had a setback be able to bounce back and make it stronger than what the setback was to begin with. That is super amazing. You said yes, and you just said, yes, I'm in, and that was so cool. She didn't say
because I love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much. So I want to turn it over to you to have your final thoughts, to have your final comments. Again, we had a chance to meet back in 2013 at the Full Throttle with Delator McNeil, who would be here. If he was here right now, he would say, come on, somebody. I'm here to talking to y'all. Them Delator McNeil in the house, But Full Throttle happening. And it was in that moment that you were the exact same way on a stage as you are right now. And even sitting down and being able to have lunch and so forth and hang out with you was truly amazing. So I do want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the most precious gift you can't get back, which is your time. We got to have you back again. So I want to turn over to you. I asked her, and I did ask ladies and gentlemen, I said, well, do you want to have your final thoughts and comments? Do you mind sharing some words of wisdom? And some people say no, and that's fine. I understand they got things to do. I mean, I respect every one of my guests. But Rhonda, heck yeah. I said, okay. So I'm going to turn over to you once again. Thanks a lot. We appreciate you. You can have the final thoughts and comments to inspire everyone that's out there watching. And you just watching right now, hit the share button. If you hit it before, hit it again. Hit the watch party button. If you want to take the link and you're watching right now, you want to copy and paste it and put it into a social media, you can do that. If you listen to the podcast and you're like, Shay, I'm always on the podcast, I can't do that. Take the link and share it with someone. If you're on Roku right now, hey, go find it on Facebook. You, even if you're watching the replay, you can go over to fearlessliving.org/risk. If the site is still up, then you put your information in there, okay? Because I don't know how long she's going to keep it up. I just don't know. But what I do know is available today. So over to you, Rhonda, for your final thoughts and comments. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And I know exactly what I want to say as final thoughts, because if you never heard me speak before and you never heard me speak again, and if I could say this one thing to you and you would get it in your bones and you would believe me, right? If I could transfer my belief in this into your soul and into your essence and into your bones, this would be the only thing I would ever say to you. and it would dramatically change your life. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not stupid or lazy or incompetent or not good enough. You're not holding yourself back or unworthy, or none of that is true. And the only reason you believe it is because you believe fear over who you really are. So again, if I could get you to listen to these words, just go ahead and shut your eyes if you're able. If you're driving, don't do it. I just want you to breathe really nice and deep and just take it in. There is nothing wrong with me. It's just fear. There is nothing wrong with me. It's just fear. And if you can allow that in your cells, then I'm knowing that today is going to be the day that changes your life forever.
The time is now. With that being said, for those who watch, I want you to know you're amazing, you're incredible, and all of you got greatness inside you. And today is your January 1st. You can live a fearless living. Today is your January 1st. You can break through. It's just fear. It's just fear. It's just fear. Today is your January 1st. And for you, the best is still yet to come. For those folks who want to know who's doing all that screaming, who's doing all that yelling, my name, by the way, is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember this. Time is long. Very, very long. Life, on the other hand, is very, very short. So you got to live in the moment, and you got to make it count. God bless, and we wish you success. Peace. Thanks a lot, Rhonda. You're amazing. See
Thank
all
you,
y'all
BK.
later. You guys are rock stars. Everybody. Promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win.
Yeah.
Thank you. God bless.